Thanks, Jeremy, and welcome everybody. It's good to see so many faces in the room again after such a long time. So I'm Richard Petrie, I'm the CTO, and Anne's going to come up afterwards and go through the maintenance and operational issues. I'm going to go through technology update. I've got quite a lot to cover, so quite a few projects to go through. What I'm going to talk about is the 2023 investments. So obviously at the beginning of the year, I do tend to try and give an update when we do have the meetings in February, just to say where we're allocating budget, where we're going to be putting investment for the whole year ahead. I'm going to dive into significant projects that we're working on at the moment. And then I've got a little just one slide on some numbers, just to set some context for the operational update, and then Anne's going to come on and give an update on the operation side of things. As Jeremy said, if there's questions, you can use the online question thing, or raise your hand and we'll bring you a mic in the room, and questions at any time, please feel free to interrupt as we go through if you have a question. So technology investments, I'm going to, the little screen here is, I've got some notes on, so I'm going to just make sure I can see everything. I'm going to go through the four main things that we're investing in. So we've got our cloud and observability work stream, we've got security, digital transformation or digitization, and then LAN interconnectivity development, and that's all about the peering exchanges around the world. So I'm going to go into each one of these in turn, and then, as I say, I'll go into current projects in a bit more detail. So from the cloud adoption, this is a mixture of how we're refreshing our own compute and storage. So this is on our on-prem private cloud. We're going through a project at the moment of ripping out the old stuff and put in some new upgraded stuff. So we're pretty, I would say, 95% complete on that project of developing the new private cloud. That's going to be live between 2 data centers across London, and then we're also testing out AWS as a public cloud offering, and we're going to be mixing our compute needs across public and private cloud, and a lot of that will be set by some of the telecom security requirements that have come out recently through the TSA, which is the act that implements them. And I've got a few slides on, a few more notes on that side of things. So what do we want to achieve? Well, I mean, from the membership point of view, we'll be putting the portal, the API, the stats will all be available on the new compute platform. Hopefully that means it brings scalability, improved service, and also cost benefits back to the membership. On the security side, we have a continuous education program within LINX to update and make people aware. This is part of our ISO 27000. We implemented this 2 years ago to make sure that we kept everybody informed as we went through that certification process. We're also building towards a zero trust architecture, and Julian is leading on that, and if there is interest in that subject, if it's something that the membership are interested in, I'd also suggest that we maybe do a presentation on that on a security point of view from Julian's point, and he can go into a bit more detail. So do also let me know if that's something of interest over the next couple of days, and we'll work towards that. And why are we doing that? As I say, the telecom security requirements were put into force through the Telecom Security Act. That's going to be placed on us through a regulatory application for IXs, and we're obviously going to have to adapt and develop our own technical footprint to make sure we meet those needs. From a membership point of view, we hope that builds confidence. Our critical national infrastructure is secure, stable, resilient. Your data, your privacy is maintained for your data, and then obviously any regulatory asks are met as we go through that, so that we keep on the right side of that. On digitization, I'm going to get a little bit more detail on here. So this is the technology side of the digitization. So a lot of this you'll see through Mike's presentation tomorrow when he talks through the product. So a lot of what we put in place from a digital transformation within technology is visualized through what you see through the portal and the products that you interact with. But we work to improve the workflows. We work to make sure that all of the services are available on the LINX portal, and also we're working to upgrade the IX API to make sure that there's a like-for-like capability between the portal and the LINX API service that the IX API service that we'll maintain. we try and get feedback, whether that's through studying the click-throughs on the portal or whether that's through Q&A with members. We try and get feedback from the membership on what you think of it. So again, myself or Mike or any of the LINX team, if you've used the portal or the product services on there, please do give us feedback. It's really important. So what we see for the membership, you'll see an increasing number of services made available on the portal. If you want to consume the LINX API, which we'll be launching version 2.4 later in the year, which has some stats added to it, you'll be able to go on, you'll be able to order, maintain, upgrade, downgrade, and consume different services, and then start taking statistics through the LINX API. So if you are interested in developing against the LINX API, please do let us know as well. So what does that look like from a timeline point of view? So from a portal, the key thing that we're working on at the moment is the encapsulation ability. So you can log into the portal and change your encapsulation, so which means you can then start adding overlay type services, private VLAN, closed user group, or Cloud Connect. We'll also be introducing this hybrid automation. So our first version of the automation end-to-end workflow was that you log into the portal. If you've already got an encapsulated enhanced port, you can then order a service and it will work through, and it will be fully automated end-to-end, self-service, and provisioned without any LINX staff having to work on that. If for any reason there's a physical element that needs to be done, so a fiber or an optic or a change on configuration that we can't do on the automation platform, it kind of drops out of that digital workflow, and then it has to be done through one of the NOC or the provisioning engineers. So what we'll be doing later in the year is actually breaking that apart, so we can actually tie that in with our order management system. So effectively anything that's physical, we pause the automation workflow, put the fiber in, put the optic in, re-engage the automation workflow, and then it's done without any other human interaction. So that'll be a big change for us around the middle of the year, and towards the end of the year we'll hopefully be able to give an update either through Mike or Ricardo or myself when we get to that point. On the LINX API, we are developing the cloud and the Microsoft peering service in Q1, so we're working through that at the moment. We're then going to move on to making the order management system that we put in place for the portal available through LINX API. And as I said, towards the end of the year, we're going to be deploying version 2.4, which starts to include some of the statistics that you would see through the portal stats inside the LINX API standard, so you'll be able to log in if you are developing against that and consume those services. So if you're interested, please do speak to me over the next couple of days. Later in the year, we're also going to be introducing a notification engine. So this is for the products like closed user group, where you want to invite somebody to join the closed user group, and there's going to be an automated way that you can then send that off, get a response, and track through the order management system, see where progress is on the portal, and go through the whole life cycle with that. So hopefully, as we start to see more take up on the private VLAN and closed user group, we'll kick off the notification engine piece of work. And finally, the option there at the end of the year, and I put it towards the end of the year because obviously this is very dependent on the marketplace, and I know Mike will keep us updated on the marketplace. But if we do see progress around the marketplace, we've got an option there to start consuming third-party APIs so that we can sort of service chain it all together. So at the moment, if you order something through the marketplace, there's a LINX part and there's a partner part, and we obviously, for services and certain partner services, we'd like to bring that all together into a seamless experience. So quite a lot of activity on the digitization, a lot of work building on the self-service. We know we track how many people use self-service, and we monitor when people log in and consume that, and its activity and its use is building all the time, and so really pleased with the results that we've had from developing those services. And so do keep giving us feedback if you want anything enhanced, or if you've got any positive or negative experiences in that. So on the LAN interconnectivity, this then brings us back to the peering exchanges, but also wider scope of that. So the interconnection services, we need to look at the latest technologies, make sure we keep ahead of the curve, to make sure we're investing in the right technology for the LINX membership long term. We also need to expand on our geographies, and I go into a few of these new geographies that we're looking at, and how we develop services and how we continue to serve the traditional peering services at those locations. And what does it mean for the membership? Well, hopefully high availability throughout the year on all of our platforms, reduce cost of running the exchanges, and reduce cost in capital expenditure per gigabit delivered. So the capital expenditure obviously will go up as we continue to scale, but as a measure against gigabit delivered to the membership, it should reduce. And what does that look like from a timeline point of view? Well, LD6, I think Anne's going to touch on this when she comes up. We're finishing this project. So this started late last year and went over our change freeze. So we're redesigning the Equinix site down in Slough to be able to take 400 gig member orders, and this is with the Nokia SR7 platform. That work has been done. We now have 400 gig available there, but there's some tidy up work, there's some removal of old kit, so we're finishing off that project, and we'll have some maintenances that get announced on that. We then move into Equinix in NoVA, so North Virginia. I've got a couple of slides on, because that's very much an active project for us at the moment. There's a change in the approach there, and I've got a couple of slides on that, so I'm going to jump past that for now. But we're doing work, obviously, on NoVA and across the Equinix relationship there. We're going to be deploying later in probably in Q2 400 gig on the EdgeCore platform. So this is to enable. At the moment, we only sell 400 gig on London 1. So we're testing, or we have tested the EdgeCore equivalent for the 400 gig services, and we're gearing towards, as soon as we get a confirmed order, we'll deploy that on London 2. And as we go through the year, we're going to be refreshing both Scotland and Wales. So these, as a platform, still run on the old Extreme kit that we had in. It's not automated. It's legacy kit. And what we want to try and do is refresh that with one of the newer technologies that will plug into our automation tooling, and we'll be able to then do the same self-service, the provisioning, the services that we see on London 1 and London 2 will be enabled through the automation platform in Scotland and Wales as well. We have a couple of spikes. What we do for technology sort of research and refresh. Manchester and London 2 are both running on EdgeCore, what we class as the legacy, the first generation 58 and 7700 devices. So these are installed, well, London 2 was installed, I think, back in 2018, 2017-18, we deployed that kit, and it's coming to end of sale. So we're still going to have support through end of life for another 2 or 3 years, but the actual products themselves are coming end of sale. So we're going to do a couple of design spikes around Manchester and London 2, so we come up with a detailed plan of what we're going to do as far as replacing, refreshing, upgrading, how quickly, and we'll obviously keep the membership updated on that. But as far as services that we offer at those two locations, nothing changes. We're going to be able to continue to run all of the services that we run today during that migration period. And as I say, the EdgeCore platform is fully, we've got support from IP Infusion and EdgeCore, so there's no concerns on time frame, hence why they're just research spikes rather than migrations just now. And finally, towards the end of the year, we're going to be working towards deploying 400 or 800 gig on our core. So at the moment, in between all of our points of presence, we have N times 100 gig as connectivity for our routers to connect to each other. Mark and the team have been studying and testing different technologies in the lab, and we'll be working towards a deployment once we see the cost point and the operational benefit come in for us on a return on investment. Once we see that come in and we get those numbers confirmed, then we'll be working towards a migration plan. So obviously, as we go through the year, we'll give everybody an update on what technology we've chosen, what does it mean from a cost impact, and where we go from a migration point of view. So quite a lot of activity through planned for 2023. That's a very high level, and what we'll do is, as we go through different LINX meetings, we'll dive into a few different projects throughout the year, and as they get launched, we'll go into a bit more detail. The ones that I want to talk about today, as far as significant projects, are these four here. So we've got NoVA, the North Virginia network that we run. We've got Nairobi, the new build in Kenya. We've our partnership with STC and how we're looking to expand. And then finally, I'll go into a little bit of detail on the root server refresh project that we're working through. So NoVA, for those that aren't super familiar with it, we have 4 sites. We actually have a 5th site, but it's a transmission POP. So that's the Equinix Ashburn site, which at the moment, it's purely just a fiber extension from this ring. It has an optical device that aggregates and drags member connectivity back to one of these 4 POPs. We're working through, and big thanks to the Equinix team. We've got Tom and the team here today, and they've been working through to change that situation. So I'm pleased to say that we've reached an agreement where we will extend all peering services directly into the Equinix POP in Ashburn, and that's a massive change for us, and really appreciate the London team working with us through that. So what does that mean? We're going to take the opportunity to look at it a bit more holistically. So at the moment, NoVA is run on a legacy Juniper MX 960 platform. Most of it was taken out of London and sent over to the US over the years. It's a ring topology, as you saw in that network design, that high-level design. It's a ring topology. So we're going to be moving to a new platform, modern leaf and spine design, very much like the Manchester setup. For those that are familiar with that, we did a presentation on that. It's going to be new hardware that we put out there, so it'll be a sort of a standard pizza box top of rack type thing, and we'll also enable 400 gig connectivity as well. So that's the target to do that. And we're gonna whereas we were gonna probably do that a little bit later in the year, we're gonna target to do that with the same time as what we do with Equinix. So we've got a transmission POP that was contracted through a partner, so we're going to take that relationship direct. So we're working on an agreement with Equinix to have a direct contract for a point of presence in their site, and then we're going to extend the peering services directly into that. So we'll then do a complete refresh of the technology and extend services into the Equinix site, and that will become a multi-connected five-site POP, five-site exchange platform. So great work on a lot of work on NoVA coming up, and as I say, fantastic development with Equinix. Nairobi, we launched LINX Nairobi a little while ago from an initiative. We signed a contract with a company called IX Africa Data Centers, and really positive feedback on that development. From a technology point of view, what does that mean? We start to get involved in the project from the once we get a bit more detail around the actual build out, the infrastructure, the timeline. So from our point of view, we're working through the design and the readiness. So the team have been looking at the kit that we're going to put in there, the type of design we're going to do, the partners, how we get kit into country, the brokers, and all those things that go with the getting into a new geography. We expect the build to start towards the end of March. This is obviously caveated a little bit about customs and getting kit into the country, but we hope to have the build start and done in March. It should be a fairly quick project. And then IX Africa are going to be launching the data center around the May time, but sometime between March and May, we hope to be able to do another announcement on connectivity of LINX peering services, and hopefully we'll have members join and start peering on that sometime between March and May. So that project certainly over the next 3-4 months will come to fruition. From a build point of view, we've actually invested in a new platform. This is the Nokia 7220 IXR series. So this is a typical data center, top of rack type device that goes in. It's slightly different to the current Nokia. For those that are familiar, we put the SR7 in London 1 back in November 2021 to deliver 400 gig services. This is a different, even though it's from Nokia, it's a different operating system. So the design is going to be very much, as I say, a bit like the NoVA refresh and the Manchester design. It's going to be a standard leaf and spine architecture. The new Nokia devices runs on an operating system called LINX, the network operating system. We've already tested that to plug into our automation engine, so the software team have been working through with Nokia and the networks team, and so we're happy that that plugs into the automation engine. It means that we can also activate all of the peering services and the interconnection services, private VLAN, closed user groups, that we have in London, Manchester, and everywhere else around the world. That will all be supported in Nairobi from day one as well. It is a LINX owned, a LINX run exchange. It will be monitored out of London. It will be monitored by our NOC team, and we will do all the observation and maintenance, and we'll provide the same level of care and diligence as we do to anywhere else around the world. Then we got activity over in Saudi as well. So this is a joint project. So this isn't LINX owned. It's a joint project working with STC, Saudi Telecom, and it's powered, as it says there, powered by LINX. I know JEDEX was it was a bit of a slow burner at the beginning, but it really took off in 2022, and as we went through the start of 23, and I think we sent out a marketing post on it earlier in February, because we had a peak traffic there, and we're passing somewhere in the region of 340 gig a day peak traffic there of volumes regularly throughout the day and throughout the week. And so from a traffic point of view, we've seen, and a connectivity point of view, we've seen some really good growth over 22 and positive work with STC. And that's been reflected in the fact that they want us to expand our services and work more with them across that region. So for those less familiar with the geography out there, what we started off with the JEDEX exchange over in Jeddah, which is over on one coast of Saudi. We're in discussions, and we're going through the planning to open a second exchange in Riyadh, which we're hoping that will be around Q2. So we had a call a couple of weeks ago to start the planning process around the actual implementation. And then we're also going to be opening a third one, which is over in Daman, which is over on the other coast, and takes in some of the cable systems that come up off of that coastal area. So that's probably going to be about Q3. At the moment, from a LINX technology point of view, the teams are working on the design, the build of material, what we will do from shipping and customs and getting the stuff out there. But hopefully we'll be able to give updates throughout Q2, Q3 on extending those services, and really positive on JEDEX. So fingers crossed we'll get a same sort of take up on those second and third sites as well. Okay, and then as far as the root servers are concerned, a lot of activity around root servers as well. We've done various updates. So just a quick recap: we invested in this alternative to Bird. I mean, the Bird root server has been fantastic throughout the years. We've always had this policy of trying to have two different root server options available, and we unfortunately a few years ago we had to move to a dual Bird setup because of the lack of features on the other root server capability. OpenBGP came along, and we worked with a few partners, so DKIX, AMSIX, and NetNod, on building out a capability. And Yob started an organization called the Root Server Support Foundation, so RSSF. You may have heard of that, and they've been working towards building the capability. We deployed in Scotland and Wales, obviously fairly small exchanges from a peering point of view. We did that in 2022, and that was very successful, very stable. We've been really pleased with the results. But we didn't stop there. We continued working with the RSSF organization to test and build and grow the capability. And I think it's February, Mo did a maintenance around upgrading RS4 to OpenBGP-D. So this is one of the root servers that's on London 2, and obviously London 2, from a scale and size point of view, is a lot more significant than Scotland and Wales. We had a little bit of a bug in the maintenance. I don't think Mo's here today, but if you have any follow-up with him, I'm sure you can have a chat with him. But there was to do with the MD5 enablement. It wasn't working when we first enabled the service, and we had about 20 peers on London 2 that use the MD5 capability. Obviously, they had the other root server, the Bird one, RS2, available to continue working, but there was a period of time that we weren't able to offer MD5 on the OpenBGPD. And I think Tim, actually, who is here today, fixed that issue. So that's now all working. So we've taken the time to reflect, to review. Operationally, it looks really, really stable. So from a scale point of view, really happy with the way that that's worked out. We still continue to work with the RSSF. We've got future developments with them. Hopefully, at some point, we're going to be putting onto London 1. What is planned next, though, is in March, we're going to be doing NoVA. So this is another piece of work in NoVA. So we'll be upgrading one of the Bird root servers to run OpenBGPD, and then that will be closely followed by Manchester. So hopefully by the end of April, we'd have done London 2, NoVA, Manchester. We've already got Scotland and Wales enabled, and so we'll be in a good position as far as redundant root server implementation. What that means is it leaves us with London 1. At the moment, we don't think that it scales sufficiently to operate on London 1, but as I say, we will continue to test. There's every 6 months we get a new version out of the release, like a full release version. We get some interim small fix releases, but every 6 months we get a full release, and we're hoping at some point in the coming year we get to a point where we can put that on London 1 as well, and we'll keep you posted on that. We also had, and I think this was updated at the last LINX meeting, we also have an ambition to roll out Bird 2. It's still in the lab. We're only testing it in the lab at the moment. The priority has been on rolling out OpenBGPD. We don't have a huge team on root server expertise, and I think we're going to talk tomorrow about our intern program and internship program, and Anne and I are going to touch on skills and talent hire. We've got a small team that are responsible for the root servers, and so there's only so much we can do at any one time. And so we're going to be looking at maybe second half of 2023. We'll be looking at picking up the Bird 2.0 or 2.x implementation, taking it out of the lab and deploying that across the lands. But we'll keep you updated on that. If everything goes well, as I say, on OpenBGPD, we'll have done NoVA and Manchester by April, and we can turn our focus back to Bird. And that's on projects. Before I get into LINX numbers and then hopefully hand over to Anne, I just want to pause there and just ask if there's any questions on those projects, on expansions, interest. Yes.
Tom Hodgson, Lumen. Are there any updates on LINX Nairobi being available in additional POPs?
Thanks, Tom. Yes, so obviously we've signed an agreement with LINX Africa data centers, and obviously that's our priority. But when obviously being local out there now, and we're having discussions, there is interest from other data centers, of course, that have got wind of what we're trying to do. And our long-term ambition is to improve the ecosystem. So I think we will, but obviously our priority at the moment is on LINX Africa. But as soon as something becomes more concrete, we'll give an update to the membership. Thank you. Okay. So LINX numbers, I like to, because we go into the operational side of things, and we always talk about the service issues and the maintenance, and I feel that we sometimes we say, oh, there's lots of things happening on the operational side, but actually very few things fortunately do impact member peering services, and we as a team. We try really hard to make sure that we build the right infrastructure and we respond in the right way. And I just wanted to touch on some of the numbers to put into context. And I think, when you go through Anne's presentation as well, you'll see there's a few service issues, but only a few members, impacted during those service issues. And each one of them we try and address and improve and learn from. So, I mean, from a numbers point of view, and I know Curtis is going to add some more numbers on this tomorrow, but I mean, we're now 1,700 member ports. We're 1,100 10 gig ports. We've connected our fourth 400 gig member service. These are just the member facing ports, and we're over 414. I think maybe even we've gone up from that since I put this in the slide, 100 gig ports. So what that means from a peering point of view, over 54 terabits of connected capacity across the different regions. Peak, the aggregated peak traffic over 8 terabits, that's peering traffic on the exchanges. 900 ASNs, or nearly 900 ASNs, and we connect over 80 countries. And so it's a huge amount that the team, and say the engineering team and the NOC team are a fairly small team, but they work hard to make sure we cover the operations on a 24/7 basis. And we see probably around 300 tickets per month that come into the NOC that they deal with on a regular basis. So if you take the average over a 12-month, we aim for a high percentage of fixed first time on the NOC. So we have a two-pronged approach. We try and fix first time to improve the experience, because I'm sure any of you have been through fault analysis. As you start moving tickets between queues, the experience starts to deteriorate. And so we're really focused on that fixing first time, and making sure that if we escalate, we only escalate as needed. And then we get member feedback. So we also ask for, when we close out tickets, we say, can you give us positive, negative, or neutral feedback? We get over 90% of positive feedback, and if you add the kind of neutral and positive, we're sort of somewhere in the region of 95. So, and every negative feedback we follow up and go back and try and find out how we can do that. So if you are, hopefully you never have to open an operational ticket, but if you do and you work through with the NOC, please do give feedback to the NOC. All of your feedback is analysed. As I say, we've got a huge amount of work that we try and do, and Anne's going to go through that in a bit more detail about what's happened over the last few months and what's going to happen. But yeah, do keep your feedback coming to us. It's really important. And now just hand over to Anne. Thank you.
Okay, this will just be a really quick update compared to what we just did, but I'll try not to break this. I broke it in testing, Tony, yeah. Since the last LINX meeting in November, we've continued to have high availability, and it's just a little bit higher than last time. In November, there was one service-affecting issue. This was when a member-facing card stopped working on Edge 1 THW, and the card restored after a reboot. There was one service-affecting issue in December when a lag went down over dark fiber. It was initially thought that it wasn't service impacting as the traffic rerouted, though it rerouted over a path with an incorrect next hop, which resulted in traffic between those two edges being dropped. There were no members on the two switches directly peering with each other. The issue was resolved by clearing the BGP session between Edge 1 TCA and Edge 4 EQ4. There was one LAN affecting issue in January. It was when an FPC card started erroring, causing a loss of service for members on that card. A ticket was raised with our vendor, and a reboot of the card was advised. The reboot was completed in an emergency maintenance and restored service. We've had 3 issues this month. There were 2 in Collector 1 THN LUN 1 when it lost IPv4 BGP peers. A restart of the Bird daemon in both cases fixed the issue. Network engineering and IS are working on the underlying issue, which looks like it's related to the memory. The remaining one was a DNS issue which impacted the ability of some to resolve links.net. It appeared to be caused by an issue after a failed migration. While working with the vendor TAC, it was traced to a database corruption, and after a factory reset, reinstated the server with a new empty node. Okay, upcoming maintenances. Upcoming maintenances include finishing off the LD6 SLAW redesign with the last member move and decommissioning of Edge 4 EQ4. There will also be an upgrade of the switch control boards from SCBEs to SCBE2s to enable a future ISL upgrade this week on Edge 1 TCA. Root servers, upcoming maintenances. From next week, 6th of March, OS upgrades to Ubuntu 20.4.5 will progress on all root servers. The exception is RS4 links.net on LUN 2, which has already been upgraded with a newer OS when it was upgraded recently. OpenBGPD migrations on RS2 NVA1 and RS2 MAN1 will be in late March and April. And Mo is here, so if anybody wants to talk to Mo about any of those things, he's sitting in the back row next to me. He's going to appreciate that. Okay. And that's it. Unless anyone has any questions? Yes, James.
Hi.
Hi.
The incorrect next hop with the clearing BGP fixed it. Was there any root cause analysis? Any confidence that it won't happen again?
I'm pretty sure it won't happen again. Mark, who's back there next to Mo, was the one who would have done that analysis. Mark, did you have anything to add? Oh, can you say it again so Mark can hear?
Hi. Yes, sorry. It's the invalid next hop with the clearing BGP sessions fixed it. I was just wondering where any root cause analysis and any confidence that the same problem won't happen again. What was done there?
So we do have a case open with the vendor, but they're struggling to recreate it at the moment. So no, there's no guarantee, but yeah, we're still working with the vendor to try and get to the bottom of it.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions? Okay.
I've got a question actually for Richard actually. He's not expecting this, so I was just wondering whether you could just give there's an awful lot that seems to be going on actually with the technology team at the moment, whether it's worth actually having a little bit of an overview of how the actual technology team is broken up and some of the different areas that it actually works on.
Yeah, I could probably spend ages talking about this. I mean, just high level, I mean, going back to, Nigel's presentation has come up, but if we go back to those 4 pillars of where I said we're focused on, so we very much our software team, we do a little bit of back-end automation testing, software development, and a lot of the front-end product development. So that team is split into 2, and they work both on internal and external software development needs. Externally is more, when I say external, is more external to technology, which is into the product team. So when you hear from Mike tomorrow, so we have 2 software teams. One works very, very closely with Mike on the product development. One works very closely within the teams. We have another set of teams, network engineers. So you heard from Mark in answer to James's question. Mo and Tim, who a lot of you would have known over the years. So within network engineering, that team's really focused on building out exchanges. So when we talk about Nairobi or the STC partnerships or refreshing in NoVA, so it's very much Mark and the engineering teams that go and do that capability. And then from the cloud point of view, so Matthew, who's here, so he runs a number of systems engineering teams, and he has site reliability engineers embedded in some of the other execution teams. So he runs the kind of like internal infrastructure, and so we have a focus on that. So and then Julian, who I mentioned, covers security. So very much in those pillars, our teams are aligned to those pillars to deliver across the business. As I say, if at other LINX events, if you're interested in looking at what we're doing on the automation tooling side or security, that sort of thing, we can definitely do a deeper presentation on one of those. So do give feedback on the LINX survey at the end, or come speak to me during the week, during the 2 days. Is that all right? Okay.
Thank you, Richard and Anne. Richard, you thought you were done. There has been questions, so that was me that missed those. From the stats that you showed, overall utilisation at LINX is running at 15% max. What is average utilisation? And there's also a follow-up. How does LINX average and peak utilisation compare with similar sized internet exchanges?
Right, okay.
Do you want to read that?
Yeah. Okay, so the utilisation, yeah, I mean, it depends really. I mean, the numbers I gave, yes, were the absolute. What you tend to find is obviously the type of network will run, some types of network will run hotter than others. I mean, some of the member ports will be DDoS mitigation services, and they'll obviously run empty for a period of time. So the it probably averages out around 15% if you take that peak number of 825 and the overall 54. But it varies from country to country, member to member, and even pop to pop. What we tend to do is analyse the traffic on a particular edge device. Once it gets to a certain level, we try and spread. We look at flows, and we try and spread the loading out so that we don't get too much congestion, or don't get any congestion in any particular area. So it really does vary. I don't know who put that question through, but if there's any specifics that they're interested in on how we manage traffic capacity, so we're happy to have a chat, myself or Mark, during the breaks. And then the other one was the how does LINX average and peak utilization compare to other internet exchanges? I typically just look at the other large internet exchanges, so AMS and DKIX. And again, you look at their so if you take DKIX, for example, they've got a point of presence over in the US. They've got the one in Frankfurt. So we tend to follow very similar patterns. Sometimes you try and reverse engineer and look at how many ports they've got connected, what their capacity is, and what they publish. Sometimes they publish overall aggregated peak, and you have to kind of like reverse engineer to pull it apart. And every now and then I do that just to compare and see where we are on the technicalities. But yeah, I mean, I certainly last time I checked, which would have been the sort of December, January time when we were doing the end of year review on objectives, I would say from what I picked up on M6 and DKIX, LINX London 1 is very, very similar in utilization and trend across the other internet exchanges. So hopefully that answers the question. But yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Richard.